Hi, and welcome back to another video. This one, I want to point out a few things and then I will come to my conclusion at the end. But let's just look at a few little things. A few months ago, this movie Fauci came out. Apparently it was in theaters. I don't know anyone who actually saw it. But something very interesting, and this movie became famous for really one thing. These trailer videos have an overabundance of dislikes compared to likes. Look down here, I can't circle it, but look at the thumbs up and the thumbs down. The thumbs up, we have 1.4 thousand likes and 34,000 dislikes. If you look at the top trailer, look at this, guys, 8.3 thousand likes compared to 134,000 dislikes. So overwhelming majority of at least YouTubers hate this movie. So you sit there and go, why do they make these movies if people hate them so much? I'll tell you why at the end. Look at something else right now, okay? So first of all, let's just look at this. These are the top richest authors in the world. What are authors? People who write books, okay? Number one, the top ranking author, I don't know if this is of all time. I don't think it's of all time. I think it's just currently, is this Elisabeth, I think her name is Badinter. She's French, and apparently she's written a lot of philosophical stuff. All right, that's not who I really want you to look at. I want you to look at the bottom of the list, Suzanne Collins. Oh, which, by the way, sorry, Suzanne Badinter is worth $1.3 billion. And of course, we all know J.K. Rowling is worth $1 billion. Okay, she's incredibly famous for writing Harry Potter, she wrote 7 highly successful books, and they all became blockbuster movies. So there's a reason that she's worth $1 billion. Nobody really debates that. All right, but again, I want you to look at this woman here at the bottom of the list, her name, Suzanne Collins, and you probably actually recognize her if you know much about movies or books, because she is famous for having written The Hunger Games. Okay, which were it was a trilogy of 3 books. Each one of them was made into a movie. I actually think there were 4 movies, weren't there? The 3rd book was turned into 2, weren't they? I can't remember. But anyways, at least 3 blockbuster movies, but when I say blockbuster, I mean you actually left your house and went to the theater and paid an exorbitant amount of money to watch these movies in the theater. Okay, so they were high-grossing movies. She's also just recently come out with a 4th book called Songbirds and something something. It's written from the perspective of President Snow, who's like the bad guy. So anyways, it's still it's an up-and-coming book. It's not quite to the level of the first 3 books, but I also want you to see that that's not the only thing that she's done. She's written other novels. But they just aren't as like popular as Hunger Games. But she's written screenplays for numerous TV shows as well. So she's got a lot of reasons that she is worth $80 million. And this is the number I really want you to look at. Suzanne Collins is worth $80 million. Other places I've read say maybe up to $90 million, but most articles agree that she is worth $80 million. Okay, so think about that. Now I want you to look at how much is Michelle Obama worth. Now, one thing that's really strange about this is that there's quite a range a lot of people disagree apparently on how much she's worth. Some people think she's worth 70 million and other people think she's worth 75 million down here. There's another, you can look down and see 40 million. Okay, and then other people believe that she and her husband are worth a combined 135 million. So that's quite a range. Let's click on a few of these and just see what they have to say. Come on. All right, so Michelle Obama, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it says here that her worth is 70 million. Okay, and again, this says together with her husband. So maybe she shares that amount with her husband. It does say that her memoir, Becoming, earned the couple a $65 million advance for one book. Okay? All right, now let's go back and let's look at one of these other ones. Let's look at this one, $40 million. Okay? She's worth $40 million. And it's still, they credit the majority of that money coming to her because of her book. All right. And let's look at the next page. It could be that this $40 million is just talking about her net worth for 2021, whereas the other article may have been talking about cumulative total of 70 million. All right, let's look at something else. Whoops. Let's look at if the Obamas are worth. Okay, so some people estimate that their total worth is 135 million. We know too that they bought a mansion. Let's see, how do I click on this without, well, let's just click on it. They bought a mansion worth nearly $12 million. So if they are worth a combined $40 million, that's quite a lot to be spending, to spend over a fourth of your paycheck, of your combined worth. That's so that just based on that, I would say that she's probably worth either by herself worth 40 million, or this 70 million estimate is probably more correct. Okay, but even if her worth were 40 million, I want you to think about a few things, okay? So now let's look at this. Michelle has written several books, and of course we know that she has speaking engagements here and there. Her most famous book, Becoming, was made into a Netflix movie, which was produced by the Obamas have a production company. And so they produced it. But I just want you to kind of look at these numbers. Now, of course, these numbers don't necessarily prove anything, but I don't really think that we have enough information to really prove anything anyway, especially when you look at nobody can really agree on what their worth is. And it's like, do you not know how to add numbers? This should be really easy to calculate somebody's net worth. But anyway, be that as it may, I just want you to look at a few little anomalies that I'm seeing. Okay, she's written a few books. Her most famous one is Becoming. And notice that there are over 760,000 ratings. Now, that doesn't mean that's the total amount of people who have bought her book. Of course, we know that that's a much higher number, right? Her book was, I think, #1 and or #2 for 2018 and 2019. I'm not exactly sure, and I've tried to look it up, but I can't find that information anymore. All I want you to see is look at that number, okay? People who rate books, it's a lot smaller number than people who actually buy the books. We know that. But look at this other book that she wrote, American Grown. There are just under 2,000 ratings for that. Another book, In Her Own Words, has a very meager 351 ratings. And then a book, I guess, compiled of her speeches, 168 ratings. So overall, these books don't really rate if you're going to count her being a multimillionaire. These books, my point is, only the book Becoming could have enough impact to create a multi-million-dollar situation, okay? These other books won't cut it, is what I'm saying. Now, remember this number for her one book. Let's look at Suzanne Collins. The Hunger Games has over 7 million ratings. Remember what I said about ratings. This is not the total number of people who buy and read the book. This is only the number of people who rate it. They bother to go back and write a rating for the book. That's not book #1. Book #2 has just under 3 million ratings. Sorry, I'm clicking on things. Sorry. You can see the number. Just under 3 million ratings. And then Hunger Games, her third book, has just over 2.5 million ratings. And then, of course, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That's the most recent book that she wrote. And that one hasn't quite broken 260,000 ratings yet. But this book, let's just not even put this book into the equation. Let's just look at these first three, okay? Millions of ratings here. In fact, her number one selling book has nearly 7 times the ratings of Michelle Obama's book. So do you see why I'm skeptical as to how Suzanne Collins is worth 80 million and Michelle Obama is worth potentially 70 million? Okay, you could say, but, Becoming was made into a movie. And we know that movies gross more money than just books. Yeah, okay. I think I already mentioned this, though. Becoming is a movie on Netflix that the Obamas produced. Okay, The Hunger Games was a movie that you actually went to the theater to watch. And guess what? The Hunger Games is also on Netflix. So it's still making money, just like Becoming is still potentially making money off Netflix, off being on Netflix. Okay, so now I'm going to posit my hypothesis here. I believe that these people make movies and books. They write books and their corrupt, evil sons make art and become artists. This is money laundering, okay? This is the entire point that they do these things, is for money laundering, so that it can happen right under your nose and you don't notice it, okay? Let's look back at Dr. Fauci. How much is Dr. Fauci worth currently? Most people estimate that he is worth 3 million, which incidentally is over 6 times what he made in 2019, okay? So he's already 6 timed his income just during the pandemic. The reason that they made the movie Fauci is, I believe, so that in a few years, when he is worth 15 million or 25 million, you can say, wait, how is he worth all that money? And they can tell you, oh, well, don't you remember he had that movie that they made about his life? Don't you remember he wrote that book? Don't you remember he made that painting? Okay? I don't know this absolutely conclusively because I don't have the ability to look up everything. But just based on what I can see, I don't think that these people make money the way that we are told that they make money. Okay? So, thank you for listening. And please share your perspective and or look into these things. I'm encouraging you to look them up yourself because it doesn't make any sense to just believe things. We've got to start thinking about things. Thank you for watching.